r/AskReddit. People who are 21 plus and virgins. Why? I lost my virginity at 21, but I had been trying to lose it since high school. The problem was fivefold. 1. I wasn't that attractive. I was cute at best, but certainly didn't turn any female heads at a party. So the only way to get a woman to be interested in me was through my personality, and that takes time, effort, and luck since you have to be in a shared space where she can interact with you multiple times. I didn't get that till I was 21. 2. I had unrealistic expectations. A lifetime of watching nerds get the hot girl on movies had made me think that I could get a 9 and above, when the truth was, as awkward and as dorkish as I was, it was never gonna happen. And I guarantee you, I missed the signs from some perfectly adorable 6s and 7s, because I was so focused on the cheerleaders. 3. I didn't have any game. I was a class clown and I could make women laugh, but I just didn't know how to flirt or strike up any conversations with women. And since we've established in point #1 that they weren't coming onto me, it was all on me to make the first move, and my first moves usually turned out terrible. 4. I idealized sex. I passed out at least 1 to 2 chances to have sex before age 21 because I wanted it to be with someone special, and these were only casual encounters. 5. The virginity turned women off. Likewise, there were 2 other chances where I was very close to having sex until they found out I was a virgin and all interest evaporated. Who knows why? In fact, I lost my virginity after I started actively lying about it. I was 20. I don't like being touched much, so being inside someone else was anxiety inducing, still is. It gives me so much anxiety I lose my wood. It is easier in relationships where you care about the person, but while in those relationships it felt like sex was a chore or a requirement for my partner to feel good, because it was something they enjoyed, even though I didn't really. Well, 22. I would consider me actually as a handsome guy and all, but I have this big nipples which look so unmanly. I have really some issues to undress myself in front of somebody, but surgery costs around 2 to 3,000 euros and I'm student and don't have the money. I lost it at 21. I was thinking it had to do with being socially awkward, my hobbies being generally male dominated, and that it was a combination of multiple dumb luck events that finally got me somewhere. I recently found an old picture of myself from that time period. Apparently, at 21, I looked like I was about 15. I'm sure that didn't help, though how meaningful that effect was compared to the previously identified issues I have no idea. Looking for sex is like looking for a job. Most jobs require previous experience, but there are rare ones that don't. But once you get that experience, you'll get used to it and see that sex finds you just like after your first job landing, and it's all about connections. I'm 24. It's not high on my priorities. My boyfriend understands that. Likewise for him, sex is not high on priorities, although he is not a virgin. I've always wanted it to be a gift for my future spouse, to know that they own turf that no one else has stepped foot on before. Bad analogy, but I think you get my point. There was once a guy I had a crush on that found out I'm a virgin. I'm quite open about the fact. He called me a child and would never even consider dating me because I was too immature in his eyes. So yeah. Fuck you, Leo. Totally nothing wrong with being a virgin. I lost my virginity at 15. It was an awkward and uncomfortable experience because it was some girl I didn't know and we were both pretty blazed and tipsy. I was thinking, haha, yes, sex, this is gonna be fucking cool, but instead I got 25 minutes of putting my lil 6 and Punisher into some lil thought constantly moaning fuck, and yes, for 25 minutes NGL felt good and prideful. I made her climax, but for me, I was so uncomfortable. Like I pictured sex as like this intimate, love-filled, passionate experience, but it was nothing like that. It was so sweaty, awkward and strange. I didn't like it. I'm 26 years old, a broad 183 centimeters, fairly strong dude. I'm a metal worker, so my day is standing and dealing with things that are heavy. I have never really had interest in sex. It really doesn't go across my mind. There is probably something wrong with me, or not. I don't know. I don't care. But my testosterone levels are normal. Everything works just fine. But I really am not interested in fucking another person or a thing. I know this sounds really strange and absurd to most people, but I'm happy the way I am. I'm not miserable because I haven't had sex. It doesn't bother me. And if you'd ask me on the street about this, I'd just answer straight up with honesty. And since human society is basically built around sex, this probably seems strange to many. Same actually. I don't have any sex drive. I actually find the idea of it gross. Well, I do wank off. I just have no interest doing things with other people. I don't find it gross or anything. I just don't have much interest in it. Though, if you find it gross, you could try to meditate on it. Why? Might explain it. Just sit down somewhere comfortable. Don't fall asleep though. And start thinking about it. And follow those thoughts. It can lead to many places and explain a lot about your thoughts. It takes some practice, but might get you some answers. I wish I was 21 and a virgin. Sex is really nothing special, emo. Get more enjoyment out of my hand. Only really feels amazing when you truly love your partner, and most of my relationships have been toxic. It's reassuring to hear this. I'm 21 and I've never even had a GF. Well, emo, I have wished. Since my first relationship I had held off of them until I reached my 20s. I've had everything from drug addicts to emotional abuse, all because I felt I loved being around a person. I think it takes a lot of emotional growth to recognize these things and differentiate what is love and what is abusive. I know it probably sounds kinda dumb, but you can kid yourself into thinking it's love when really it's just the assumption which society seems to have that you should have, and so, or you're missing out. I was a virgin until I was 22, and it's just because I was awkward and lacked confidence. Once I saw the value in myself and stood up straight with my shoulders back and head held high, getting a woman became a lot easier. 22 is still pretty young. My best friend just had sex for the first time on her 60th birthday last month, and she wasn't ready emotionally for it. 60? Wow. If you don't mind me asking, why did it take her so long? Like me, she never wanted to, but she started hormone replacement therapy a few months before that, and that really messed her up. My best friend had sex for the first time about 35 years ago, and it's caused nothing but trouble for her, so I decided never to do that, and several of our group of friends did the same. Earlier in life, I never found someone I was interested in who was interested in me. Now, I'm not mentally healthy enough to feel like it's fair to the other person to get into a relationship. Bummer. Try to find someone in a similar situation. You won't have to feel too insecure. Similar lifestyles lead to proximity to each other. Proximity over time plus interest in each other usually equals sex. Good luck and don't try too hard. From what I've seen, most people are not willingly, actively choosing to be virgins. They either never had the opportunity, lack social skills, had some personal trauma, are not attractive or charming, want some really hot person, while not being very good looking themselves. I never really cared, nor was it ever a top priority to have sex. Like, I understand that to some people it's important, but to me, it just wasn't. Went through college thinking I was just a late bloomer, that I'd eventually find someone sexually attractive vs just aesthetically. Found out about asexuality, realized my story was pretty standard, and stopped worrying about it. Because I don't want to, but I have many friends that are my age or older, late 40s, that are virgins, but don't want to be. Well, I was until 26, then I just went to the prostitute. Problem solved. Turned out never was one. At 21 I was still weird and awkward. Everything socially was clunky. I only moved out from my parents at 20. Now that I think about it, it's a surprise anyone volunteered to fuck me at all. I'm 22 years old and still a virgin. Basically I never really made the effort to get a girlfriend. Sure, I'd like to find that special someone, but it's just not my top priority. Need a hug? Virtual hug point gif. Same actually. Also, I'm not willing to have sex anytime soon. I find it gross. Because why not? There's nothing wrong with being a virgin. I just wouldn't put sex as high on my list as people who aren't. It's sad that people who haven't had sex yet are seen by the general community as people who haven't achieved as much in life as people who have. Your op is very hypocritical to what you just said surely? I asked because I'm a 21-year-old virgin and never had any sex drive at all. Matter of fact, I find it disgusting. It's not religion or anything. I just don't like the idea. I wanted to know why others like me were virgins. I'd love it if you liked and subscribed.